And in case there are any conspiracy theorists out there, how would you prove to us that you're in zero gravity?
I would just do this for a while, and unless I was falling, that would be kind of hard to do.
And in case there are any conspiracy theorists out there, how would you prove to us that you're in zero gravity?
And in case there are any conspiracy theorists out there, how would you prove to us that you're in zero gravity?
And in case there are any conspiracy theorists out there, how would you prove to us that you're in zero gravity?
This is Face the Nation. How do you hear me?
I have you loud and clear. Welcome aboard the space station.
NASA Commander Scott Kelly joins us from space to talk about what it's like to have the Earth spinning outside of your window every day. It's all ahead on Face the Nation. The Earth spinning outside of your window every day. The Earth spinning outside of your window every day.
Hello. Been here once before. Hello. Been here once before.
And hopefully you can see there that how water behaves, which also
Our activities in space have left traces behind. To date, there have been some 5,000 successful satellite launches, and certain orbits are at risk of becoming congested. About 17,000 man-made objects are currently being regularly monitored from the ground. The effect has been particularly evident in the low Earth orbit region.
Trouble in space this morning as the International Space Crew attempted a spacewalk outside the station. Here's a live look at the astronauts. Well, I don't believe... I don't think those are astronauts. Yeah,
Where's their spacesuit?
Coming from the engine area, lens flares, and then the holographic flicker. Watch again. What is that?
Houston, we have a problem.
I've looked at these images over and over again, trying to sort of get the essence of it. It is photoshopped, but it's has to be. It is photoshopped, but it's has to be. It is photoshopped, but it's has to be. It is photoshopped, but it's has to be.
Here's one last image showing a famous Earth shot from the International Space Station. It's beautiful. NASA uses Nikon, like I said before. So Commander Kelly has graciously taken a selfie of his own camera, so we see what model it is. We can even see that there's a massive fisheye lens on this thing. But knowing those two things is key ingredient in fixing the photos. So in Photoshop, there's a lens distortion correction filter you can use. You just plug in what kind of camera you have, what kind of lens you have, boom, voila, it flattens the image out and corrects the distortion, whether it's pincushion or barrel distortion or even fisheye. You know, the other thing that's going on in this photo here is, everybody will point out, there's a giant hot spot fairly close to the Earth. If the sun was in fact 92 million miles away, the Earth would be lit in a broad, illuminated, wide swath of light and not just like a light bulb as we have here. That's just something interesting I've noticed. But anyway, that's it. That's my YouTube analogy wrap-up video of some things that I've really had a problem with, and I noticed not a lot of people were addressing in their YouTube videos, whether they're flat earthers or NASA conspiracy people or moon debunkers. You know, it's the photography that really gives away, you know, their deceit. And I think more ought to be brought up about this. I think they're sloppy, they're lazy, and they're hiding something. What that something is, I don't know. Can we reach any higher than low Earth orbit? Or can we even go to space? Can we go to the moon? Is the Earth flat? Is the sun really close? There's so many ridiculous questions, but when you just look at the photographic evidence, you know something is being hidden. And to me, that raises, you know, a several trillion-dollar question. Does NASA owe the taxpayer a bunch of money back for fraud, every man, woman, and child in America, for lying to us this whole time? Can we take, you know, them seriously as a beacon of science? You know, when everybody in their own camp can't seem to get the facts together. NASA showing us a perfect circle image of Earth. You know, Neil deGrasse Tyson is saying, no, the Earth isn't round, it's an oblique spheroid, more pear-shaped. But that's an official NASA photo, and it's perfectly round. But, you know, it's only perfectly round if you use the Photoshop selection tool.
Return of the Blue Marble, presented by Science at NASA. Approximately every 1.8 hours, Discover can answer questions sunset. Discover will also help scientists track aerosols. Sabo tells us it can see massive dust clouds moving from the Sahara Desert to the southern US and Central America. And it can see smoke from large forest fires in remote northern Canada where nobody keeps an eye out. The observatory also offers a rare view of the moon. Because the moon is tidally locked to Earth, only one side is visible from our planet. The unseen far side was shrouded in mystery until 1959, when the Soviet Luna 3 spacecraft swung around the moon and photographed it from behind. This feat is repeated by the current high-resolution U.S. Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter Camera, or LROC. Discover will observe the far side about twice a year,
as the observatory periodically crosses the orbital plane of the Moon.
All right, let's check this image out here. Everybody might remember this one. This is the famous Moon transiting the Earth in front of NASA's Discover satellite. That's 1 million miles away, parked out in geosynchronous orbit. Okay, let's right-click this bad boy, put it into Photoshop. It's a GIF for animated purposes, but the cool thing about GIFs is you can actually open them up in Photoshop and you can see all the layers that the GIF is made out of. Kind of cool. So let's zoom in here and check it out. All right, you start activating layers and the Moon comes into frame. But what is this? Why is the leading edge of the Moon green? Obviously, that shouldn't be like that. So what's going on here is NASA has South Parked a dim Moon image because they said it's the dark side of the Moon. So obviously we think the image needs to appear darker, but it's passing right in front of the Earth, in front of the Sun. Full sun, full moon, so that means it should be bright, really bright, bright as the clouds. In fact, there's more green fringing. Keep turning on these layers. Obviously, they were able to delete the green fringing on the leading edge as it left the frame, but they were pretty lazy here as it exited the frame. More green fringing. Now, it seems to me like they just used some green screen software and plucked or tried to get a nice clean image, but they couldn't because here's a bunch of pixel noise all over the place. That means nobody actually did anything. They clicked a button and they tried to use the algorithm to remove the green. Didn't do a very good job of that. Now, there's a lot of problems with this, image that people have noted already. Clouds obviously don't move, and if this was taken over a period of time, clouds move pretty fast.
Now, also, this is July 16th, so this is supposed to be summer. So the tilt of the Earth is completely wrong. If the sun is behind the camera, the North Pole needs to be pointed towards the camera, not off to the side. So the tilt of the Earth here is about 45 degrees wrong. It's facing camera left, and it should be facing directly at the camera, the North Pole. So you should see less of the southern part of the Earth, and more of the northern part of the Earth. So again, completely fake, not even trying to make it real. And you're looking at all these different images, the clouds would move. Just watch any satellite picture that you've ever seen, any satellite animation, the clouds move. So to say it's less than a day, so you're not going to see a difference, is completely wrong. So the clouds are not right, the tilt of the Earth is not right, the rotation of the Moon is not right. Another fake lie from NASA.
As well as landers or other components to destinations beyond Earth orbit. Right now, we only can fly in Earth orbit. That's the we only can fly in Earth orbit. That's the farthest that we can go. And this new system that we're building is going to allow us to go beyond and hopefully take humans into the solar system to explore. So the Moon, Mars, asteroids, there's a lot of destinations that we could go to. And we're building these building block components in order to allow us to do that eventually.
Orion is getting ready to launch. My name is Kelly Smith, and I work on navigation and guidance for Orion. Orion is NASA's next-generation spacecraft. Built with versatility in mind, it can take astronauts deeper into space than we've ever gone before, to an asteroid, or even onto Mars. For these missions, Orion has to be one tough spacecraft, withstanding high speeds, searing temperatures, and extreme radiation. Before we can send astronauts into space on Orion, we have to test all of its systems. And there's only one way to know if we got it right. No astronauts will be aboard. The spacecraft is loaded with sensors to record and measure all aspects of the flight in every detail. It all begins with launch, aboard a Delta IV as the spacecraft and the upper stage begin their first lap around Earth. Mission Control in Houston is monitoring the progress of the flight. Orion's over 100 miles up and going about 17,000 miles per hour. Just as it passes over the Indian Ocean, we lose communication. As we get further away from Earth, we'll pass through the Van Allen belts, an area of dangerous radiation. Radiation like this could harm the guidance systems, onboard computers, or other electronics on Orion. Naturally, we have to pass through this danger zone twice, once up and once back. But Orion has protection. Shielding will be put to the test as the vehicle cuts through the waves of radiation. Sensors aboard will record radiation levels for scientists to study. We must solve these challenges before we send people through this region of space. It's great to be a part of this first space flight for Orion, and we're looking forward to beginning a new chapter in human space exploration.
Other than the alleged Apollo trips, all other manned spacecraft have stayed below the belts. These belts do not officially begin until an altitude of 1,000 miles is reached. But when one space shuttle crew was brave enough to go nearly 400 miles above the Earth, they started to experience some unusual effects. They reported seeing shooting stars, which were a result of the radiation hitting the retinas of their eyes.
The fighter landed 20 feet behind where I landed. Later landed right back in that crater.
When interviewed, Alan Bean of Apollo 12 initially stated that he had not gone through the belts and did not observe any effects caused by them.
Any ill effects from the Van Allen radiation belts?
No. Now, I'm not sure we went far enough out to encounter the Van Allen radiation belt. Maybe we did.
When it was pointed out that the flight pattern took him through the belts, he changed his story.
The belts are 1,000 miles to 25,000 miles above the Earth.
Then we went right out through them.
No effects on your cells?
We didn't even know it. I don't think anybody, well, maybe somebody said you went through the radiation belt, but we didn't feel it inside, and we didn't get any, added radiation.
The space shuttle went to 365 miles a few years ago. Because I worked in news, I saw CNN. They said that the radiation belts surrounding Earth are more dangerous than previously believed because the astronauts saw shooting stars with their eyes closed just when they got within 600.
Radiation belt. We saw shooting stars, but they're not shooting stars from with your eyes closed, although they look like it. If you're out in space beyond the Van Allen belt, and probably within the Van Allen belt, and close your eyes, and just pay attention. You don't notice it unless you pay attention. Then all of a sudden you'll see a little flash like a shooting star, except it's like that. There goes one this way. Then one just blossoms. And then not that fast. Maybe you wait 3 minutes or 2 minutes and one goes whoosh. And what's happening is cosmic rays are hitting the back of your eye and exciting those sensors in the back of your eye. So that's what you see. And they got high enough apparently to close it. My guess is in Earth orbit, if you closed your eyes and just paid attention, that you would see them.
The first time they were seen was when they went to 365 miles.
Yes.
That's 650 miles below or away from the radiation.
Yeah, see, it's below. My guess if they just did it tonight. But see, if you're just going to sleep or closing your eyes or it's dark, you don't notice them. But if you'll close your eyes and pay attention, which we had an experiment to do, by the way, then you see them whistling by. Not on our mission, by the way, they hadn't been discovered yet. I saw them one day on the moon. It wasn't dark, and it was kind of dark, and I saw this flash of light, and it looked like it was on the moon, but really it wasn't. It was a flash. It's okay. Well, take your stuff and get the fuck out.
Well, take your stuff and get the fuck out.
Some scientists argue that the trip through the belts was so brief, that is only a few hours, that the radiation would not have had a negative effect on the astronauts. But the question remains, if these belts are not dangerous, why in the last 30 years has absolutely no country put even a monkey past these belts? The standard excuse is that no one has wanted to spend the money to do so. But to write off every advanced country in the world as too stingy and incompetent in over a third of a century to explore further than 400 miles from Earth really is a bit too much to fathom. It is more likely that we simply do not have the technology to go further at this time.
To destinations beyond Earth orbit. Right now, we only can fly in Earth orbit. We only can fly in Earth orbit. That's the farthest that we can go. And this new system that we're building is going to allow us to go beyond and hopefully take humans into the solar system to explore. So the moon, Mars, asteroids, there's a lot of destinations that we could go to.
When I was talking with the gentleman from Belcom, and we were discussing the lie, everything he was telling me was different from what we were being told was the truth. And at one point I asked him, I said, man, you guys, you lied about a lot, didn't you? And instantly he said, no, we didn't lie about certain things. We lied about everything. None of it was true. I really don't think people realize how deep the lie goes.
Space, the final frontier.
Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement.
And you hear about the fact that the landing was actually done in a television studio.
It's the flag being planted on the moon facing one way and the shadow of the man being the other way.
I mean, I've heard that maybe the terrain that was seen on the video wasn't accurate, the walking wasn't accurate.
There are no stars in some of the photographs, and that there should be because there was no atmosphere and that the stars would shine so brightly.
The lunar shadows sometimes fall in different directions. The skeptics claim this as incontrovertible evidence of at least two light sources.
Enormously powerful jet of flame and heat and gas, it would have easily scooped up an enormous crater. In fact, there was supposition that the crater would have been so big that the lunar lander would have disappeared into it. That's true. Astronomers could have easily discerned that the star positions were not those that would have appeared in a photograph taken from the moon. So it's another case where they could not fake it, so they simply ignored it. If you were to talk to Aldrin or Armstrong or any of the other Apollo astronauts, they would actually not respond in any way to questions regarding stars.
Secondly, when you looked up at the sky, could you actually see the stars and the solar corona in spite of the glare?
We were never able to see stars from the lunar surface or on the daylight side of the moon by eye without looking through the optics. I don't recall during the period of time that we were photographing the solar corona what stars we could see. I don't remember seeing any. I don't recall during the period of time that we were photographing the solar corona what stars we could see. I don't remember seeing any.
they were actually simulating EVAs on Earth, they would then need help with their bulky heavyweight suits and backpacks in order to achieve the visual effect of moving around easily in lunar gravity. So enter wire supports. This is a tried and tested way of relieving weight from performers, or even flying an actor. A momentary glint. And again, run slowly. And once more. There are other examples too. This one is from Apollo 17 during the flag scene. You can see the ping at the top of the frame. In this footage from Apollo 16, we have telltale evidence of a slightly floating or dangling effect at the jump salute location. It's as if the weight is being taken off the astronaut's feet just a second or so too soon. Compare that sequence with an obvious rehearsal rig. The dangling effect is very evident. And here again, from the same mission, Apollo 16, we have an astronaut who is about to get up.
Okay, here we go.
Let me give you a hand, he says.
There goes bag. There goes another bag. Coming.
Look at it again. The astronaut is getting up with a wire taking the weight, relieving him of 5/6 of the Earth's gravity. A magic trick? No, just the help of a wireman. This is a slow-motion jump that would have been seen live on TV. And here it is at normal speed. The well-rehearsed, pre-recorded material was apparently slowed down by 50% when we saw it on TV. And yes, we've done the necessary work to establish that percentage.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap. So, I guess you want to do it again. Okay. Sorry, Mr. Korsky.
There are also plenty of anomalies when you look at spacewalks. For footage of spacewalks on the exterior of the International Space Station, NASA will freely admit they have a huge swimming pool called the Neutral Buoyancy Lab, where they train their astronauts. And within this huge swimming pool, they have a mock-up of the exterior of the International Space Station. I'm going to show you a video from a YouTuber called Jungle Surfer, who's done the best expose of spacewalking anomalies.
Another aspect of the illusion of space travel is spacewalks. These are faked inside a swimming pool. It's a custom-built swimming pool, and that's a great way to fake zero gravity. About 6 months ago, in 2013, a gallon of water leaked into one of their spacesuits in a matter of seconds. NASA doesn't really have a proper explanation for how on earth this could have happened. There shouldn't be water leaking into someone's helmet and a person almost drowning in space. How can you drown in space? They now wear snorkels to make sure that they don't drown in space. How can this be happening? A snorkel in space? There could be some water in the porous plate sublimator. When they were on the moon, they supposedly had about a gallon of water, but that cooling system is supposed to be well away from their head. There really is no sane explanation for why a gallon of water would leak into someone's spacesuit, unless you realize the whole thing is faked inside a swimming pool. In this scene, you can see the Chinese spacewalk, and you could see a bubble coming up from the guy's suit. How do you have a bubble in space? Space is supposed to be a vacuum, not a swimming pool. But it's obviously just a swimming pool filled with water. Obviously, there would be some equipment that they could only fix from the outside, but a lot of these spacewalks, it seems like equipment they easily could have configured to be accessible from the inside of the International Space Station. It seems more like an excuse to get out and show their other space trick, which is the faking of spacewalks in a swimming pool. In this vid, you catch a glimpse of someone wearing a scuba tank. Scuba tanks in space? Snorkels and scuba tanks in space? They act like a spacewalk is just a walk in the park, like there's very little danger involved at all. They're looking through the spacesuits. Oh, here's a spacesuit. We're going to go for a spacewalk. As if there's no danger at all. Like they don't care. They don't care. They don't act like they're in a life-threatening situation, like they could die at any second, even though they can. So you would think to preserve their life, they would want to minimize the amount of spacewalking that they did. But there seems to be an abundance of equipment on the outside of the International Space Station that constantly requires repairing, which makes for a good TV spectacle and is inspired by movies like Sandra Bullock's Gravity. And after Gravity came out, they of course had to do another spacewalk to fix some emergency, some piece of equipment that their lives depend on that amazingly they can fix every time. But you know what? Thanks to the genius of the engineers at NASA, they employ snorkels in space now, so that should stop them from drowning.
You really like it, don't you? You're the one who said you walked on the moon when you didn't. Calling the kettle black, if I ever thought of it. Saying I misrepresented myself.
Away from me.
You're a coward and a liar and a thief.
You want me to knock you in the head?
Well, I want you to swear to God on the Bible that you walked on the moon. If you walked on the moon, we're given the opportunity to swear to God that you walked on the moon.
I'm going to give you the opportunity to get the hell knocked out of you if you don't leave me alone.
So why don't you just put the end to the record in the argument and put your hand on the Bible, swear to God you walked on the moon.
Mr. Sidwell, knowing you, that's probably a good Bible. Well, you're talking to the wrong guy. Why don't you talk to the administrator in NASA? We're passengers. We're guys going on a flight.
I don't tip people, but you're going to be on the deck unless you get
heading out.
Get the hell out of the
Well, I hate your stuff and get the fuck out.
Why don't you quote me and say it's bullshit?
When the shadows in the wrong place, I don't give a damn about all that shit.
This is full of shit.
Mr. Seibel, you do not deserve answers. If you show this publicly, you're open for a lawsuit. Okay?
Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Richie from Boston, and I stumbled onto a video yesterday that was put up by Ortega Blue. But after doing a couple of searches, this is a patent search. This is patent number 3239660. And it belongs to NASA. And it's right here. I'll leave a link to this PDF file. It's a star. NASA owned patent for a star. This is in 1971, and it goes back even further than that. In accordance with the procedures contained in the Code GP to Code USI memorandum on the subject dated June 8, 1970, the attached NASA-owned U.S. patent is being forwarded for abstracting an announcement in NASA Star. Corporate source, Bausch & Lomb. This is crazy. Now things are starting to make a little bit more sense. Look at this shit. This is for real. You know, all the videos of people getting with two suns and Nibiru and this and that. I don't know. I'm putting this out here for your comments. This is crazy. And I know the flat earth guys are going to jump all over it. Just look at it. Look at it for what it is.
Well, they've been trying to create an artificial sun for ages with all kinds of patents. And look at this. Further, the outer structures of the Solar Simulator 10 of the present invention may have hexagonal peripheries as described in my prior application for facilitating stacking a number of these solar simulators parallel to one another so as to achieve a modular solar simulator comprising a plurality of units. Okay, so this is from a patent from the 60s, and it's being done with reflectors, with lasers, with mirrors, with projectors, with all these kinds of things, okay? So, and a guy just took a video yesterday of the sun in a hexagonal shape, coincidentally. Okay, now this, I'm going to have to copy that so I don't lose it anyway. Here it is on this solar simulator. Publication date 1967, filing date 1963. So this goes way back to even the 40s when they were trying to do it. So you have to read all this. All this stuff is, a lot of it is scientific terminology, which I don't understand, but you don't need to understand all of that to grasp what he's saying, because let me show you this. Okay, I checked this out a long time ago. Scientists plan to ignite a tiny man-made star. They're trying to do it all over the world, even China. It's a group effort. And do you think they're going to tell people, the common people, about it? Maybe they're spraying all the chemtrails because they've lost control of their plasma star, or however they created it and unleashed it. So I went back to look at my videos that I made before 2014. Scientists to create fake sun on Earth. It's a multi-billion euro experiment to create a sun, and the machine is being built in the south of France. They even have their own currency. I've got to go back and check this out because I can't even remember putting this up. Okay, here's the New Yorker, EU. So, you know, that is why the sun doesn't look like the sun, because it's not the sun. And if they have all these articles and all these patents and intentions and plans, and so wouldn't it be a possibility? Fake sun for real? Okay, there's a united effort to create an artificial sun if it hasn't been done already. Prepare yourselves, the time is crazy. Scientists blow up before scientists blow up the place. Okay, so, you know, just be ready for anything.
then it's time to cram us into the airlock. But before that, we always indulge in a few pagan rites to appease the EVA gods.
We had a smoother ride after that. It was once the SRBs were gone.
50 nautical miles.
And then we hit the 50 nautical mile point, and that's the point.
In my book, Famous Freemasons Exposed, I showed how Nicholas Copernicus, Johannes Kepler, Galileo Galilei, and Isaac Newton, the four forefathers of the globalist heliocentric doctrine, all posed for Masonic portraits, highlighting various symbols and hand signs denoting their affiliation with the Brotherhood. Galileo poses on a Masonic checkerboard floor, Kepler with the hidden hand sign, and all four of them pose with a Masonic compass and globe while flashing the Masonic M hand sign. Sir Isaac Newton was even knighted by Queen Anne at Trinity's College Masonic Masters Lodge. An inordinate number of NASA astronauts, the current propagators of the globalist heliocentric doctrine, are or were admitted Freemasons as well. John Glenn, two-time U.S. Senator and one of NASA's first astronauts, is a known Mason. Buzz Aldrin Jr., the second man to lie about walking on the moon, is an admitted ring-wearing, hand-sign-flashing 33rd degree Mason from Montclair Lodge, number 144 in New Jersey. Edgar Mitchell, another supposed moonwalker aboard Apollo 14, is an Order of Demolay Mason at Artesta Lodge, number 29 in New Mexico. James Irwin of Apollo 15, the last man to lie about walking on the moon, was a Tejon Lodge number 104 member in Colorado Springs. Don Eisel on Apollo 7 was a member of the Luther B. Turner Lodge number 732 in Ohio. Gordon Cooper aboard Mercury 9 and Gemini 5 was a Master Mason in Carbondale Lodge number 82 in Colorado. Virgil Grisham on Apollo 1 and 15, Mercury 5 and Gemini 3 was a Master Mason from Mitchell Lodge number 228 in Indiana. Walter Schirra Jr. on Apollo 7, Sigma 7, Gemini 6 and Mercury 8 was a 33rd degree Mason at Canaveral Lodge number 339 in Florida. Thomas Stafford on Apollo 10 and 18, Gemini 7 and 9 was a Mason at Western Star Lodge number 138 in Oklahoma. Paul Weitz on Skylab 2 and Challenger is from Lawrence Lodge number 708 in Pennsylvania. NASA astronauts Neil Armstrong, Alan Shepard, William Pogue, Vance Brand, and Anthony England all had fathers who were Freemasons too. The amount of astronauts known to be Freemasons or from Freemasonic families is astonishing. It is likely that more astronauts and people of key importance in NASA are affiliated with the Brotherhood as well, but not so open about their membership. For there to be this many Masons, members of the world's largest and oldest secret society, involved with the promotion and propagation of this globalist heliocentric doctrine from its outset to today, should raise some serious suspicion. C. Fred Kleinknecht, head of NASA at the time of the Apollo space program, is now the Sovereign Grand Commander of the Council of the 33rd Degree of the ancient and accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry of Southern jurisdiction. It was his reward for pulling it off. All of the first astronauts were Freemasons. There's a photograph in the House of the Temple in Washington, D.C. of Neil Armstrong supposedly on the moon's surface in his spacesuit holding his Masonic apron. NASA's logo is a red forked serpent's tongue overlaying the starry heavens. Serpents, and specifically their forked tongues, have long been associated with lying, deceit, cleverness, two-facedness, manipulation, and with Satan, the devil. Why would the National Aeronautics and Space Administration choose this as their official logo? The United Nations, the New World Order government headquarters, built on land donated by 33rd degree Freemason John D. Rockefeller, is represented by a logo and flag which clearly depicts a flat Earth divided into 33 sections. There are 33 official degrees of Scottish Rite Freemasonry, and the UN flag features a flat Earth divided into exactly 33 sections. Why would the United Nations founders choose a logo and flag of a flat Earth map divided into 33 sections? How is it that Siegfried Kleinecht, the head of NASA, retired and immediately became the head of the 33rd degree of Freemasonry? How is it that all the forefathers of the Ball Earth theory and so many NASA astronauts are all Freemasons? The Masons' esoteric religion, the very basis of their symbols and rituals, is sun worship. From their first day in the lodge, Masonic initiates learned that Freemasonry is all about light, enlightenment, illumination, hence the Illuminati, and hence worship of the sun as the giver of light. Masonic halls are all purposely constructed to correspond with the motions of the sun. They are always situated intentionally facing east towards the sun, with the worshipful master sitting in the far east on a throne engraved with a picture of the sun. The high festival of the Masons is on Christians' St. John's Day, or the 24th of June, otherwise known as Midsummer's Day, when the sun arrives at its annual highest elevation, the summer solstice. Regarding the Masonic rite of circambulation, 33rd degree Freemasonic historian Albert Mackey says, "In Freemasonry, people always walked 3 times round the altar while singing a sacred hymn. In making this procession, great care was taken to move an imitation of the course of the sun. The rite of circumambulation undoubtedly refers to the doctrine of sun worship."
The Vector, NASA's official logo. If you've ever looked at NASA's official logo, both their official insignia and their official seal, you'll see that the most prominent object in the seal is a red swooshing object. They call that the chevron or the vector. If you ask NASA's Public Affairs Office, this symbology is featured so heavily in their insignia and seal, they'll give you what really amounts to the standard facile cover story for the unilluminated. They'll tell you that that is a representation of a hypersonic wing design from the 1950s, which was the time the logo was created. Not exactly the case. Someone might want to ask the Russian Federal Space Agency, Roscosmos, that was formed in 1992, why they chose that same logo. And while you're at it, you can go ask the Chinese, who formed their space agency in 1996, why in the world they're using a hypersonic wing design from the 1950s as their official logo. Then you can ask the Japanese, the South Koreans, Taiwanese, Malaysia, Mexico, Iran, all of these countries, even Bulgaria. They all utilize the vector symbology in their space agency logos for their national space agencies. It gets even deeper. You can go look at the individual manned program patches for NASA. The Mercury program, for example, a blatant use of covert symbology. In every logo dealing with the Mercury program, you'll see what looks like a number 7 in their logo. And again, NASA's official story is that they put this number 7 there so that they could pay homage to the original 7 Mercury astronauts. Kind of forgetting the fact that only 6 Mercury astronauts actually flew into space, because number 7 never did. Deke Slayton had a heart problem, so he didn't get to go up. So there were only 6 Mercury astronauts. Yet there's a 7 in every single logo. That's in the official mission or official program insignia for Mercury, as well as the 6 individual mission patches carry this logo. And it carries on to the Space Shuttle program. If you look at the Apollo logo has a big letter A in it. At least that's what they want you to believe, but it's not. Again, that's just a simple way of explaining away the inclusion of this vector symbology in the logo. If you go to the Space Shuttle program, the original Space Shuttle STS program patch is a triangular patch that, again, hides the use of the chevronic vector symbology. And that also goes for many of the STS-specific mission patches. Every single one of the International Space Station expedition patches carry the vector symbology. The Russian Mir space station used the vector symbology. That was their official logo. You can even go deeper and look at military-industrial complex companies. Look at the logo on a company like Lockheed Martin, 2 vectors. The X-Prize logo, Ames Research Labs, U.S. Space Command. When you get into the military realm, the United States Space Command, their official logo is the vector symbol. And when you look at the military's individual space-specific programs, all of them deal with vector symbology in their official insignias. And the question really becomes, who or what are these people paying homage to? And the truth, quite frankly, is out of this world.
This is Major Tom to ground control. I'm stepping through the door, and I'm floating in a most peculiar way, and the stars look very different today. For here am I sitting in a tin can, far above the world. Planet Earth is blue, and there's nothing I can do.
Right now, we only can fly in Earth orbit.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for... So, I guess you want to do it again. Okay.
Well, take your stuff and get the fuck out.